Well, that embarrassing pictures, relentless teasing, and an entire arsenal at their fingertips. Bullying on social media has reached a breaking point, prompting even the First Lady of the United States to launch a campaign against it.
Far too many children, young children, have resorted to suicide, choosing a desperate last measure before their lives ever really began. Their parents say it contributed to being bullied.
Tonight, a unique look inside Oklahoma schools. Kids who have been subjected to humiliation and kids who did the bullying.
News 4's Lacey Lett with a special report, Bullied, Kids on the Brink.
14-year-old JC isn't practicing for a martial arts competition. She's learning how to defend herself from bullies at school.
There's some physical things that come sometimes, and I get out of them because of jiu-jitsu.
A new student at an Edmonds school, the transition was hard for JC. It's not something she likes to talk about.
Girls like to gossip. Boys like to gossip. It's been an ongoing thing. You know, it's just kind of different people, sometimes the same people, but what can you do?
Drew O'Daniel experienced bullying last year. He continues to tell his story even if it means more bullying in the future.
I was a freshman when the picture was originally took, and I did not know they had taken it.
A fellow teammate sent an embarrassing photo of Drew's private parts to several classmates, and that led to retaliation from others. Drew's mom went to Edmonds School Superintendent Brett Town for help.
What I said to Mr. Town was that, you know, there is child pornography that's being manufactured and distributed on Memorial Campus. You know, it's led to bullying, it's led, you know, to fighting, and it needs to stop.
The family also wanted criminal charges filed, but the DA's office declined, saying there wasn't enough evidence.
When they didn't even have my full side of the story before dismissing the case, that isn't something that should have been done. I felt as a victim, I had more of a punishment than he did. He got about 15 days out of school, and he came back and everything was really fine.
But it wasn't fine for Drew. He was put back in the same class as the bully. He eventually transferred schools for a fresh start.
For them, it was this small ordeal, while for me, it changed everything.
Drew and JC's stories aren't uncommon. In 2017, the State Department of Education received almost 4,700 incidents of bullying from other students. But they warn that's only the number of kids brave enough to speak up.
We also field questions from families who are reporting that they feel their child has not been heard, or that these incidents of bullying are not being taken seriously. And that has to change, and part of that then involves the way we want to guide and train our districts.
State School Superintendent Joy Hoffmeister admits school districts need to do more.
Teachers need to be more in tune to those incidents that are being reported to them, recognizing that anytime a child reports or reveals this, that's an act of bravery.
And Hoffmeister says bullying not only hurts students, but schools too. There are more absences and higher dropout rates, a problem they're working to address.
The airways are full of stories from victims. We hear about them all the time. But who are the bullies, those who cause the heartbreak in the hallways? We found a brave ex-bully to sit down and explain.
It was just a, see him on the playground, slap him upside the head, and then go about my business. Or shove him in front of a moving swing.
Stephen Corr went through most of his elementary school days picking on his classmates. Although he can't remember their names, he does remember it started after one kid looked at him funny.
I mean, reliving it's making me upset with my former self, knowing that I did these things. But I wish I had an answer and maybe a time machine.
Stephen moved 13 times growing up. He was always a loner and experienced a lot of misplaced anger. But when he moved from Putnam City Schools to Yukon, the tables were turned.
I got bullied. It was an interesting experience because typically I was the bully, but then I was getting bullied, and it really opened my eyes. Seeing what I had done to others, it just made me, even 11, 12, feel absolutely miserable. So it was like, never again.
Stephen eventually found an outlet in theater and finally felt like he belonged somewhere. But even at 35, his childhood still haunts him.
There's not a day that goes by that I wish I didn't do what I did.
But sadly, a lot of bullies don't realize what they've done until it's too late, which is why the O'Daniels would like to see more teeth in statewide policies. Drew says the campaigns in place now just don't work.
The anti-bullying that they integrate into the school system shouldn't be this mandatory thing that's just a little PowerPoint at the beginning of the year. It should be something that is directly injected into the student body to where they have a passion for it, to where being nice is considered cool.
Now, as a last resort, the O'Daniels are taking legal action against the school district and city of Edmond.
It's a lot of lack of accountability and a lot of gray areas on who's responsible.
Edmond Public Schools released a statement saying, in part, Edmond Public Schools takes the protection of all students seriously. The district's comprehensive approach to bullying prevention includes, but is not limited to, establishing clearly defined practices and policies, requiring staff tutorials and training, implementing K-12 anti-bullying curriculum and programs, and providing social, emotional, and mental health supports for students. One family now hoping to change an entire culture for others.
I don't want them to have to deal with anything like that, whether it's on the receiving end or a spectator's end.
You have to stand up for what's right, you know, regardless of if you can make a difference or if you can't. And to us, what's important is that we're the voice of change.
Lacey Lett, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Lacey, thank you. The full statement from Edmond Schools is on our website.
Meanwhile, the city of Edmond is still reviewing the claim and does not have a comment.